Hey folks, what is going on? This is Josh here, back for another update. It's been a few weeks and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. It is Sunday, December the 10th. Jeez, this year has flown by. 2023. Hope you had a good few weeks. This is the first blog I've done in what, 3 weeks, I want to say? Maybe 4 weeks? 3 or 4 weeks. I don't usually have gaps like this. We're going to talk about this in just a second. We got a lot to update you folks on. I'm going to explain where I was, why I was gone, and the plan for moving forward. The plan for moving forward is going to be the same, right? Basically, what happened was, I'll just jump the heck right into it. We have an exciting update for this week. Long story short, I think I mentioned it in some of the previous vlogs leading up to this one, but number one, I got married. Pretty sweet. Thank you, thank you. I'm raising my hand if you're, like when you sink a putt on the 18th hole. Thank you, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If you're listening on the podcast, you should watch on YouTube. Anyways, so number one, I got married about 3 weeks ago now. Time really flies. And then a couple days after that, we went on our 2-week honeymoon to Belize, which I highly recommend. I'll talk about Belize in just a second here. And so that's where I've been. Right? As most of you know, I've gotten pretty good and pretty consistent with my posting as of late, right? Having a once per week vlog and posting some videos and sending my weekly email, which you should definitely be on my Substack. If you're not, make sure to check for the link in the description, where I usually go into a little bit more detail on my week, share that, some of the other content I'm posting, all that good stuff. So definitely check that out. But anyways, so that's where I've been. I'm going to go right back to where I left off before I head out. In fact, I'm even more fired up for it. And going back to the weekly vlog, weekly podcast, weekly Substack, and posting little snippets of videos on YouTube, on TikTok as well. So make sure you're following me there too. It was great. I mean, I'm going to, I'll do a quick review of kind of how it all went. I won't go into too much detail on the wedding weekend. It was perfect. Like, it was, probably the happiest weekend of my life. I can only hope that, those out there watching and listening can, maybe you've already had or one day can have a wedding weekend like I had, with so many family and friends, and everything went perfect and it was just as happy and great as can be. So really, really happy about that. And then we went on our 2-week honeymoon, and the plan for that was always to unplug very hard, right? Number one, because it's our honeymoon and, we should unplug and enjoy each other's company, etc., etc. And number two, because we both were just kind of needing it, right? Especially leading up to the wedding, months and months leading up to the wedding, I did not take much time off intentionally. Wanted to get as much done as possible on the business side, just put in as much work as I could, empty the tank as much as I could to really earn those 2 weeks off. And then the plan was to pretty much completely, unwind, right? Really take the time off, unplug, step back, take a break, relax. And we certainly did that. We'd never been to Belize. We wanted to go somewhere with a beach, right? So I'm based in Canada. It's already getting cold. It will only get colder. So we wanted to go somewhere warm. And what we ended up doing was, we were looking at a few countries where ideally the flight wasn't too far, it wasn't too expensive, there wasn't too much of a time zone shift. And we kind of narrowed it down to Costa Rica and Belize. We ended up picking Belize, and we're pretty happy with how it was. I don't know if anyone's ever been there, but basically what we did was we spent one day at a resort in the middle of a rainforest, which was pretty nuts in a cool way. And then the second week we spent at a resort on a small private island on the beach, which was pretty awesome. So the first one doesn't sound as adventurous as it was. It was like a nice resort in the middle of the jungle. So it was like first world jungle hangout, where it's this entirely like borderline self-sufficient resort in the middle of a jungle on a big hill. So we're at the top of a hill, middle of a jungle, and you open your door and you're just in the middle of the jungle. You stare all the way around like 360 degrees and it's just jungle everywhere. And there's monkeys in the trees and bugs and whatever. It was really, really cool. And the food was great. Oh my God, we ate so much food. It was all inclusive. These were like smaller resorts as opposed to going to like a huge mega resort with hundreds of rooms and hundreds of people. the two resorts that we did were much smaller. I don't know if this is a Belizean thing because it is a smaller country, or maybe it's just the ones that we happened to pick. But both of them had no more than like 15 to 20 rooms. So it was a very comfy, everyone kind of gets to know each other, the staff are very friendly vibe. And we really liked that as compared to going to like a mega resort with hundreds of people and the food's okay because they're cooking for 200 people every day, you know what I mean? So anyways, the first place was really cool, middle of the jungle, lots to look at. Was there was some mosquitoes. That was probably the biggest downside, but incredible views, really cool pool. The room was really nice. The food was really good. We ate so much. Oh my, because it was all inclusive. You go 3 meals a day, stuff your face. The portion sizes were big. So that was great. And then the second place was small private island, about a 30-minute boat ride off the coast of Belize. And that was really cool for different reasons because it was, basically beach living, right? So, not in the middle of the forest. You look out and you just see ocean for almost as far as the eye could see, other than a few other islands. And again, very small, staff really nice, really friendly, more buffet style, which was kind of nice to switch up from the, like seated menu type thing. And we kind of just hung at the beach for like a week. And the other good thing about the second stop was there was no Wi-Fi in the room. So at our first resort for that first week, there was Wi-Fi almost everywhere. So in our room, at the restaurant, whatever, there was Wi-Fi. But we did a pretty good job of like leaving our phones in the room, not spending much time on them. I would check email a couple times a day just to make sure there's no fires or anything like that. But the second place at the beach, there was no Wi-Fi in the room at all. So, and I intentionally did not get data, did not get like international data or a SIM card or whatever the heck it's called. So the only access to the internet I had was when we went to the main like lobby where we had food and connected to the Wi-Fi there. And that was great as well. We did a lot of reading. I unplugged a lot, did a lot of reading, checked email. I brought my laptop. I pretty much only had to use it like twice. There were two little things I had to do for Visto, just, that required my laptop that took a combined probably 20 minutes over the 2 weeks. And the rest was just kind of, I check email twice a day, respond if I had to, but quite often didn't really have to right away. Had my autoresponder on. And one of the things I realized is, and this is one, excuse me, reason why, oh, I need some water here. Hold on a second. This is one of the reasons why I do think it's so important to unplug and reset here and there is I'm one of those guys who's always on email, right? I keep a very close eye. I'm very responsive, blah, 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 mostly to give good service to our clients. But what you realize when you go away and unplug like that is the world doesn't end if you don't answer every email within an hour, right? And it's almost a good reminder to have a couple times a year, which is like, dude, you don't have to be checking your email every 30 minutes. You don't have to be responding within 7 minutes to all your clients and blah, blah, blah. There's benefits to that, but you don't need to do it. Like, it's smart to set some guardrails, right? And so that was a big, nice reminder to me. I'm not saying I'm going to start ignoring emails, right? But it's a nice reminder to step back. I would say the two key takeaways I had from this, and I'll go into more detail on my weekly Substack. So again, if you're listening to this, watching this, make sure to subscribe to my Substack. Link will be in the description, whether you're on YouTube or on the podcast. Probably two biggest takeaways I'll talk about here, and I'll touch on one or two more in the Substack, are number one, taking that step back, you realize that some of those little things you don't have to stress over as much or worry about as much. You don't have to be checking email every minute. You can check it every 2 minutes, or you know what I mean, right? Every couple hours, blah, blah, blah. And secondly is you can take a step back and really benefit from taking a more unplugged break from your business once or twice a year and just thinking a lot. So especially in that second week when we were really able to relax and unplug, I was able to just think about the business from the 30,000 foot view. You're not in email doing work every single day, so you can just kind of take a breath, relax, think about everything Think about how everything's gone, client calls you've had, feedback, and just start thinking more high level about what's happening, where you want to go, what you want to do, what the best next moves are for the company. And you can't really do that unless you unplug a couple times a year. So I highly recommend, even though we're all about, the hustle, the grind, the blah, 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 I do think it's important to, like, twice a year, I'd say, take at least a week off. I think the sweet spot is like 8 to 12 days. We went away for 2 weeks because it was our honeymoon. I actually thought that 14 days, I loved it for the honeymoon, but for a regular holiday, I think like 8 to 12 days is the sweet spot. Where like twice a year, you should take somewhere between like 7 or 8 to 11 or 12 days off. Unplug, rewind, and it just gives you time to think. Think about the business, think about where you want to go, think about how you want to do it, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, we're up past the 10-minute mark. That's going to be it for this week. Again, that's where I was these last basically 3 weeks, right? I missed 1 week because I was getting married. And then 3 or 4 days later, we hopped on a plane for a 2-week honeymoon. So apologies for that. I will be back into my weekly groove. So if you like these updates, if you like my podcasts, my vlogs, all that kind of stuff, I will be back to posting every Sunday. So every Sunday, I post this vlog on YouTube, and I also post the audio on your favorite podcast platform. So make sure you're subscribed, liking, commenting, all that kind of fun stuff. And then every Monday morning, I send out my Substack, going into a little bit more detail, summarizing my week, summarizing key takeaways, telling you about what books I'm reading. I'm going to mention which books I read on the vacation as well, so definitely check that out too. So anyways, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll be back to doing this weekly. So if you missed me, don't worry. I'm back in action, more energetic than ever. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you think a friend might enjoy following along on my journey, please give this a share. Really helps me kind of grow the channel. If you have any questions or any topics that you want me to go into that I maybe haven't covered yet, please feel free to comment on the YouTube video or shoot me an email or respond to the Substack, and I will be happy to cover those in future episodes as well. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week, and I will see you in the next one.